Photoshop gives us a very cool way to create different versions of our files or comps of our files into the same Photoshop document, so we don't have multiple copies of it floating around here. It's called layer comps, and if you want to follow along, go ahead and open up the image for this lesson. We created this back in the shape layers lesson, but if you didn't create it or you didn't follow along or save the file, you can open up this one and pick up where we left off. Alright, so here's the scenario. So this is version 1. This is, okay, I like this. But let's say you want to change something. I'm going to duplicate the blue shape layer here and double click the swatch icon, change it to maybe more of an orange color. Okay, so there's another version you might want to test out. You might want to fly by the client. Okay, let's duplicate the bottom shape layer here, and I'll change that color maybe to something a little bit more orangey as well. Okay, that could be another version. I can turn off the other orange one. This could be another version. All right, you see where we're going. You've got lots of options. Let's say we want to make the black and white photo here. Let's say we want to tint that. All right, one of the ways we can do that is if I click down here on the photo of the bride, I'll go over to my adjustments panel. I can add a photo filter, and it's the one with the little camera with the little filter next to it. Go figure. If you click on that, it automatically adds a warming filter, and if you crank up the density, you'll see that it's kind of warmed the photo. It's actually warmed the whole image, even the background below, because we haven't clipped this, but we can make this adjustment layer only affect the layer below. Remember that little double circle icon here? If I click on that, now it's just affecting the layer below. All right, so there's another example. So what we've got here is several different versions of our image that we might want to present. But the problem is most people will go off and save different versions of the file, and you know, I've done it a million times myself. You know, I've got client final version 1, and client final version _2, and client final _2A, and client final _3. This is really the final one, I swear. All right, and you have all these different versions of the same file floating around out there. It gets confusing. That's where layer comps come in. What you do is you go up to the window menu, go down to your layer comps palette. Okay, and I already created a couple ones for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete them, and we'll start from scratch here, because if you haven't created anything, this is exactly what you'll see. So let's start off here. I'm going to hide some layers. I'm going to hide the layers that I've created. This is the file that we opened up. I'm going to go to the bottom of the layer comps palette, and I'm just going to click the new comp icon here, and you can give it a descriptive name. We'll call it blue shapes. Hit OK, because I remember it's got the blue shape in it. Now let's turn on the orange one, turn on both of them here, and I'll click on the new icon, and I'll call this one orange shapes. Hit OK. And then let's turn on the tinted adjustment layer that we have down here in the layers palette. I'll create another comp, and I'll call this warming tint, and hit OK. What we've done here is we've just created 3 layer comps. These are 3 different versions of our file. If I click on that little icon next to the layer comp, I switch over to that comp. If I click the next icon, I switch and switch. So what we're doing here, if you look in the layers palette, it's just turning on or turning off the layers that were active when I created that layer comp. Photoshop remembers what was hidden and what was not hidden. Okay, I can't delete them. That's why I made a duplicate copy. I can't just change the color because Photoshop's not going to backtrack like that. I made a duplicate copy of it, and that way I could turn it on and off because your layer comp remembers the visibility of your layers at that point in time when you created the layer comp. So pretty cool here. So just click on one. It's even got these little arrows at the bottom. You can arrow through it. So if you want a real world use of this, is you could pull your layer comps palette away from Photoshop, all right? So it's going to disappear from your screen, but just remember these little arrows here. I'm just going to click through them just like this. I'm going to pull it away from my screen. And then you can go into full screen mode. Just hit the F key once, that's full screen, F key again, and that takes you into super duper full screen, okay? And then you can hit the F key again, and that takes you all the way back. But what you can do here is go into full screen, super duper full screen mode with that nice black background. Your client walks up, your boss walks up, and you just have your layer comps palette tucked off to the side, and now you just hit that little right arrow key and you can cycle through all the different layer comps that you have saved inside of there. So it's a good way to present your work as well when you don't want them to see you showing and hiding different layers. And it just gets bad when people start seeing all those layers and start asking questions and all that stuff. So that's one of the things you can do, and that's the advantage of layer comps. Is in the end, these little things keep you from having to save multiple versions of the same file on your hard drive, and it just helps keep things a little bit more organized.